This program is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to a special presentation of Ways to Pay for College. I'm Carrie Kavanaugh, and we're live here at Morgan State University. Tonight's program is about exactly what our special is called, the ways you can pay for college. Maybe you're a high school junior or senior, or the parent of one, or maybe high school was long ago, and now you've decided you want to pursue that degree. But how are you going to pay for it? Are grants or scholarships possible? And how can you find them? With all the stories about student loans in the news, is borrowing money for college even a good idea? If you have questions, this show will help you find the answers. We've got a lot of information ahead for you, and just in case it's too much to absorb all at once, this program is streaming on mpt.org/college, and it will remain there on our website for you to check out and revisit. Also, we encourage you to email us your questions at college@mpt.org. Your question could be chosen to be answered tonight. If it's not, don't worry. A college financial aid advisor will reach out to help you at some point after the show. So if you're struggling with the FAFSA form or need some guidance on worksheets and deadlines, email us at college@mpt.org. We'll be back live with some great interviews ahead, but let's get started with Mario Armstrong as he begins explaining all the ways to pay for college.
Do you ever imagine your future and wonder, how am I going to fit in and what career path lies ahead for me? There are many cool careers you can prepare for, whether you're a high school student or an adult ready for something new. But to get into those jobs, first you have to go to college, and that's going to cost you some money. The good news is that there are billions of dollars of financial aid that you can apply for.
There's also a lot of information on how to get those billions. Enough information to make you dizzy.
I'm Mario Armstrong, and I'm here to keep your head from spinning. Going to college is like life, full of twists and turns, as well as ups and downs.
Join me for an adventure on how to find money to pay for the higher education you want. We'll talk to the pros and hear some student success stories and help you think about what school is right for you, what fits your budget, and do the financial aid numbers add up?
Hold on tight and enjoy the ride, because we're going to show you ways to pay for college.
Ways to Pay for College is produced in cooperation with the Maryland Higher Education Commission and was made possible in part by a grant from the United States Department of Education. Additional support for this program is provided by the Eastern Shore Higher Education Center.
If there's one thing that can get your heart racing, it's thinking about your future and how to achieve your goals.
To achieve those goals, you need proper training. And there are plenty of colleges that could be just right for you. But it seems like every year, the cost of college is going up, up, and up.
Am I really going through with this? Maybe I am crazy.
I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Of course you're going to make it. Now take a deep breath and relax. And if you're worried about paying for college, you're not alone.
But before we get to talking about the green, let's get real about you for a moment. You want to go to college, but do you know what you want to do for a living yet? And does the cost of the colleges you're interested in make financial sense for your career?
I think it's important that before a student takes a look at the financial aspects of financial aid is really kind of ask themselves, what is it they want to do? Are they looking for a big school, a small school? What are the types of programs they're looking for? So that when they get to figuring out how to pay for the school or the program that they're looking for, they have an idea of what it is they want to do and how to get there first.
There's a lot to think about. What school to attend, what you'll study, and how much financial aid you'll be eligible for. Will you need to get a student loan too? And should you?
Recent reports say that student loan debt has topped $1 trillion. That's trillion with a T.
We've all been hearing a lot about the student loan crisis, and for the students that have a lot of debt, it definitely is a crisis for them. At the same time, what a lot of people don't realize is that almost 1 out of 3 students graduate with no debt. So people have a choice as they're thinking about college, as they're deciding what college to go to, how much it will cost, how much they're willing to spend, and how much debt they choose to get into.
A student should first contact their financial aid administrator at the institution they're planning to attend. Ask them questions pertaining to student loans on what amount of money they actually need in order to attend that institution. So that way, they're only taking out the amount of money that they need in order to attend and not an excess amount, which will increase their student loan debt when they graduate.
How are you going to pay for college? It's time for some research. There are many places online that you can access right now. But don't forget the old school way, simply talking to someone.
I always suggest to students to speak to their guidance counselor in their high school. They can chat with the financial aid office at a college that they're considering attending. If they have a mentor or someone that has been instrumental in encouraging them to go to college. If you put all of those opinions and input together, it can give you a really good blueprint of where to look for information. And your parents can be alongside of you while you're learning these things as well.
Well, there are a number of ways that students and their families can find more information on college and financial aid. One, the Maryland Higher Education Commission offers a free service where we come to college fairs, college night and FAFSA nights, and provide a presentation on college and state financial aid programs. Two, students can also visit College Go with Maryland's website to find out different locations. College Go with Maryland offers one-on-one FAFSA assistance for students and their families. So whether or not they're English or Spanish speaking, they can receive the help that they may need from a financial aid professional.
Websites are key to research. The federal government's main information page on financial aid is located at studentaid.ed.gov. For Maryland residents, visit the Maryland Higher Education Commission's main website at mhec.maryland.gov. And there are others, such as fastweb.com and finaid.org.
Okay, so you've got a plan of action, you have a list of schools you want to apply to, and you've done all your research. So where is this magical money going to come from? There are 4 primary sources.
They are the federal government, your state government, the institution to which you are applying, and private sources, such as corporations and nonprofit organizations.
Federal, state, institutions, and private. So the question is, where do you get started? The FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it can be found on a website that's easy to remember, FAFSA.gov. It's the first step in applying for financial assistance.
The application itself is comprised of both demographic information, so biographical information, name of the student, social security number, date of birth for both the student and for the parents if the parents are filling out the FAFSA as well, and also financial information. So the application takes a look at a combination of different factors, both family size, income, all of that information, and it comes out with a result for what a student is going to be eligible for federal financial assistance, and that figure is also used for state funding or sometimes for institutional funding.
For those students who are not familiar with the process, and you may be a first-generation student or just completely oblivious to the process, it can be overwhelming. But the best thing to do is to take the time to read everything through before you actually complete the whole entire process and click submit.
Remember, that first F in FAFSA stands for free. Now look, there are other websites out there preying on your need for money, so make sure you're on the right site.
Students should not be paying somebody to help them fill out that application. The Department of Education website has a lot of information and helpful tips as you're completing that application, frequently asked questions. But if students or families are having difficulty filling out the FAFSA, they really should be reaching out to colleges or universities or even their guidance counselors.
My name is Antonio Gardner.
My name is Antoine Gardner.
We're twins. I knew I wanted to go to college when I was in 11th grade. I have an interest in technology, so I kind of want to go into computer engineering, but I also have a love for people. and business.
In addition to my brother, I also wanted to attend college, but I knew that the cost of college was more than what I personally could afford. Student loans were not an option for my brother and myself. We made it a mission of ours to inquire and receive as many scholarships and grants to cover the cost of our tuition.
My search for financial aid began when I was getting ready to enter into my senior year of high school. My advisor introduced the entire senior class to the FAFSA. We got a preview of what it was and what it would contain and what we had to do to fill it out.
We sat down and we filled out all the information. I got all the information I needed from my parents and provided all the information I would need to fill it out successfully.
Antoine and Antonio were great. They completed their FAFSA the first day that it's available. They were able to qualify for state aid, additional federal aid. They reached out to their delegate and senators and were able to complete scholarships through them. They also came into the financial aid office and received federal work study through the institution and were able to get additional money doing that.
If we click in cell G13.
Those who are trying to obtain money for college should not give up hope because their money is available to them.
I love working with students, especially like Antoine and Antonio, who are on top of their stuff. They get it done, and we're able to help them as much as possible. When a student is on top of their stuff, we can help them out even more.
We're here live on the campus of Morgan State University. Hello, I'm Carrie Kavanaugh, and we hope you're enjoying our special presentation of ways to pay for college. We hope you've been able to keep up with Mario, but if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, don't worry. We have a lot of information to help you find money for school. So hopefully soon you'll have the chance to join fantastic students like these at the college that's right for you. Now, if you've learned a thing or two so far, please stick with us because we have much more to come. And don't forget, this program is also being streamed at mpt.org/college. Don't stress if you missed something. The whole show is there for you to refer back to as a resource in your quest to pay for college. Now, financing college can be very complicated, and if you have more questions, we can help with that too. Email us at college@mpt.org. And we'll either answer your question on air tonight or a college financial aid professional will contact you with an answer. Now, with me right now is Dr. Kara Turner, Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Success here at Morgan State University. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us, what does your office do to help students find ways to pay for college here at Morgan?
Sure. Well, we have an Office of Financial Aid in the Division of Enrollment Management and Student Success, and they work with students to process their FAFSA and assist them with being awarded their federal, state, and institutional aid. So we have a number of institutional scholarships.
Okay. And do you have to be a full-time student to get those scholarships and financial aid?
Sometimes. Not to get federal aid, you just have to be a part-time student, which typically is 6 credits. So it depends on the scholarship. Some you do have to be full-time, but many of them you just have to be part-time or 6 credits.
Okay. And when should students start thinking about applying for this money?
As soon as possible. They certainly want to do the FAFSA as early as possible. Students can now do FAFSA as early as October 1st. And the earlier you do your FAFSA, the more likely it is that you will be able to get assistance. And at Morgan, some of our scholarships, such as honor scholarships, you really have to apply by November 15th. Because they're very competitive.
Okay. And I know a lot of people are daunted by that FAFSA form, so do you have any advice for families trying to figure it out?
It can be really complicated, so ask for help. The college financial aid officers are here to help. Guidance counselors can sometimes help. So definitely ask for help. Don't try to do it if you have questions, because if you do something wrong, then it can create issues down the line.
Okay. Now, is FAFSA something you have to fill out every year that you're enrolled in college?
It is, yes. The federal government, which of course is the one awarding the federal aid, wants to make sure there aren't any changes in your income or your family status that might impact your aid. aid. Sometimes for the better, you might end up getting more aid, or sometimes they may need to adjust it down. So you do have to file FAFSA every year.
Okay. Now, once a student is 18 years old, do they still need to include all of their parents' financial information on that form?
Most students do, yes. There are some instances where students at 18 do not need to. For instance, if they're married or they have children of their own, they're in the military, or they're wards of the court. But most students will actually have to have their parents' information until they're 24 years old.
Okay. Now, is there anything that Morgan does specifically to help your students pay for college?
Absolutely. We give away or reinvest about $13 million each year in merit and need-based aid for students. And so we, between band and choir, and we have scholarships for non-traditional students, honor scholarships, special assistance grants for students who just have a financial need. So we give a large amount of money to our students to assist them to be in school.
Okay, you just tapped into this a little bit, but what are some of the more creative ways that you've seen students come up with to help finance college?
I've actually seen them do some GoFundMe pages, like
okay.
a few of those.
Did it work?
Sometimes, yes.
It depends how good your story is, right?
Right. But there's so much money out there if students and their families are willing to do the research. If you go online to various websites, FastWeb is one that I like a lot, but even just do a Google search for college scholarships. There's a lot of money out there, particularly if a student, one, gets it in by the deadline, and two, is willing to write the essay or do the kinds of things that the application process requires.
Okay. And I think you just touched on this, but is there one central clearinghouse, or are there quirky scholarships that might be worth digging for just to get extra money for college?
There are many quirky scholarships. And again, you're going to find those on sites like FastWeb. Also, parents should check their employers, or even students if they work. Sometimes employers give scholarships. Churches, organizations that the parent or the student may belong to. So it really is worth doing a good search to try to identify funds.
Okay. Can you give us some perspective here at Morgan? What is the student enrollment, and what percentage of those students are receiving some sort of financial aid?
Sure. Our enrollment is a little under 8,000, and about 6,500 of that number is undergraduate students, and about 90% of them receive some form of financial aid.
90%?
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Okay. But like you said, it's really a lot about deadlines. So if you miss the boat, are you just out of luck with a lot of these, especially the FAFSA form?
With some, yes. Again, the November 15th deadline for honor scholarships, the state of Maryland scholarships, which are very significant for our students. I believe you have to apply by March 1.
Okay.
And so, it's really important that you hit those deadlines. Past that, the university tries to work with our students. So if you miss those deadlines, we still are going to try to award you funds through our pool of money, but it's certainly much better if you're able to tap into all of the sources of money.
Okay, we have these students listening, so I want to make sure they don't miss any deadlines, especially at their own school. So what final message would you like to leave families with who, frankly, are probably feeling overwhelmed if they're just starting the college search and application process? What is your best advice for them in terms of how to finance their education?
First of all, start early. And do the research. Look for those quirky scholarships, as you call them. Look online. Look into all the different resources there are. Do the FAFSA early, because that really is key to unlocking a lot of these scholarships.
How long would you say it takes the average family to get through the FAFSA?
I honestly don't know, but I do know a lot of families do find it very complicated. So it is best to allow plenty of time. And again, students now can start that process as early as October 1 for the next school year.
All right, Dr. Turner, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And remember, if you have a question about the FAFSA or financial aid for college, please email us at college@mpt.org. And we'll either talk about your question tonight, or a college financial aid professional will contact you and try to help. If you're unsure about deadlines or the information you need to fill out on the FAFSA form, they can help with that too. Also, don't forget, this show is also streaming on mpt.org/college, where it will remain afterwards for you to review for information you may have missed, or if you want to share it with a friend who's also just trying to figure it all out. Isn't that right, everybody? Our students, I think, are too focused right now, but we are focused on getting you the most information that we have. So joining us right now is Claudine Saxton, Program Manager with the Office of Student Financial Assistance at the Maryland Higher Education Commission. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, well, I know that you certainly are busy all year round, but especially this time of year when college is top of mind. So can you tell us, college certainly is daunting for anybody, whether you're a high school senior or going back to school. The idea of paying for it is a little bit scary. So what is your best advice for somebody just starting up that mountain?
I would say the best advice that I would have is definitely to start early with seeking out those different financial aid opportunities. There are so many different deadlines associated with scholarship applications and such. So really seeking those those different resources early. Filing your FAFSA early. FAFSA is available, as many know, as of October 1st for the upcoming academic year. So not waiting till the last minute, as most institutions have a deadline also associated with filing the FAFSA. So those would definitely be some big advice tips that I would have.
Now, I know that your office actually visits high schools to deliver this advice to students in person. With everything online these days, why is it so important to get them face-to-face and impart your advice?
Sure. Well, it's very important to have that face-to-face contact with students, so they recognize that it's not this big mysterious thing with applying for scholarships, and recognizing that the opportunities are right there in front of them, and we're here to assist them with the whole financial aid process as it relates to the state. So it's important that students see our face, know that we're here to assist them, that we're available to answer any questions that they might have. And so I think that's really important, to really visit the schools and meet families that way.
Okay, it probably really makes the whole process less intimidating if they can see that you're behind the website and all the forms they have to fill out. Now, can schools request visits from your office?
Oh, absolutely, they can. They can request that we come to their school by visiting our website at mhec.maryland.gov. And they can do this, and we will be happy to attend any type of events that they might have. We also do come to different community events as well, and provide information regarding state financial aid opportunities.
Okay, so when students are looking for financial aid from the state, what do you think is really the most important thing that they need to keep in mind?
To start early. That's really going to be important. There is a deadline for students to file the FAFSA. That's our deadline by the state is March 1st. So making sure that you're filing your FAFSA in case anything goes wrong or you have any questions, by filing early allots that time for that.
So when you say early, do you mean now, before maybe they've even decided where they're going to apply?
Absolutely, as of October 1st. If students plan on attending an institution in the state of Maryland, absolutely, they should, they can file their FAFSA as early as October 1st. And what MHEC will do is pull in those FAFSAs for students who have identified at least one Maryland state institution.
Okay, that's really good advice. Now, MHEC has a lot of different programs available to help families. Can you tell us about some of them?
We do. We have actually 27 financial aid programs that we administer that do not require students to pay back money. So there's a lot of programs out there. Some are based on students' financial need. There are others that are based on students' career paths or academic programs that they're enrolled in. So there's a lot of different scholarship and grant opportunities through the state, which, like I said, do not require students to pay back funds.
Okay, well, that certainly would be wonderful. Is it the same application process, a single application for access to all of those different 27 programs?
So it depends. There are various different applications depending on the scholarship or the grant. So some just require FAFSA to be filed. Others may have a specific application in order to be considered for that particular program.
Okay. But the idea of attending college and not having to pay back a loan, it sounds like it's certainly worth your time now to apply.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So there certainly have been lots of news stories lately about the teacher shortage here in Maryland. And I hear that MHEC has a scholarship that's targeted targeting this issue. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. The Teaching Fellows of Maryland Scholarship Program is the first of its kind in the state of Maryland. It's really ensuring that there are teachers in place to assist to target the critical needs of students. So for recipients of this particular award, they basically make a pledge to become a teacher at a public or a pre-kindergarten program.
Okay.
And so they will pledge to do that, and specifically at those schools who have a population of at least 50% of students who are receiving free or reduced meals.
Okay, wow, that sounds like a wonderful opportunity if you want to be a teacher.
Absolutely.
And I've also heard about legislative scholarships, that those can be really helpful in financing college. Can you tell us what they are and where do students find out about them?
Sure. So the legislative scholarships are scholarships through students' state senator or local state senator or local delegate. It's a great opportunity for students to receive additional financial aid through the state. What they would need to do is to contact their particular legislative representative in order to inquire about the actual application process. There are various processes that each legislator may have, so reaching out to them to inquire about those, as well as visiting our website for the general requirements of those legislative scholarships.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. So much good information
thank you for
tonight.
having me.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now it's time to get back to the amusement park with Mario. But first, if you have a question about our program or a question you need answered about finding money for college, email us at college@mpt.org. And don't forget, this show is also streaming on mpt.org/college for you to revisit later, or if you'd like to share it with a friend. We'll be back with more interviews, but now here's Mario to tell you all about the FAFSA process and ways to pay for college.
When can you fill out the FAFSA? It becomes available on October 1st. And for Maryland students wanting Maryland state aid, it must be completed by March 1st. Now, in most cases, financial aid is actually awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. And so the earlier you apply, the better your chances are for getting a good financial aid package. If you submit your FAFSA on March 2nd, well, you might be missing out.
Deadlines are very important, especially when you're trying to apply for state financial aid. Also, deadlines apply when you're planning to attend institutions. Some institutions have certain deadline dates for institutional scholarships, so in the event that you don't stick to those deadline dates, you are ineligible for a lot of additional scholarship money that you can receive towards your college education.
Now you're staring at the FAFSA on your computer screen, and you see that you need the income information for both the student and parents. Now this can easily be found on your tax returns. But which ones? Last year's, this year, and who has their taxes done in October? It might sound confusing, but bear with me. You need to report your income information from the tax year 2 years prior to the academic year you're entering school. So, if you're filling out the FAFSA this October 1st to enter school next fall, you can use last year's taxes. Got it? If not, for more details, go to studentaid.ed.gov.
Once the student and the parents complete the information that's on the application, and the application is processed by the Department of Education, and once they've processed that information, they send it electronically to the schools, so the schools have a copy of that information and can reach out to students if they need any additional information.
So you just fill out the magical FAFSA form, and the money rolls in, and you go to college, right? Not yet. When you fill out the form, it tells you what your family can afford. Now, this is called the EFC, or Expected Family Contribution. Schools subtract the EFC from the cost of a year of education. The difference is considered your financial need. Now, each institution will use this information to determine your eligibility for federal and state financial aid programs.
It takes between 3 to 5 days for them to completely process your application, and then it's submitted to the institutions that you list on the FAFSA. In the event you want to review the information, you also receive an email copy of your FAFSA, and it's your time to go in and review it to make sure there are no errors that you need to update or change in order for your information to be accurate.
Starting to sound complicated?
Don't sweat it yet. Like many software programs, the FAFSA has helpful hints that pop up where students and parents can click on for help.
There's a built-in edit check process in the application. If there are questions that appear to have been answered incorrectly, sometimes the application will go back and ask the student, is this correct, or are you sure about this information? You absolutely do have the opportunity to go back in and make updates or corrections to the application, even after it's been sent to those individual schools.
After completing the FAFSA, you'll find out if you're eligible for federal grants as well as state grants if you meet your deadline date.
The Maryland Higher Education Commission offers various scholarships and grant programs, such as need-based, legislative, career, and occupational. Students should visit our website to receive additional information on all of the various scholarship programs that we offer.
Maryland residents will also have to sign up for MD CAPS, the Maryland College Aid Processing System. This is the state's financial aid system that allows them to process state scholarship applications. And it also provides you a way to monitor your aid status.
You can sign up for an MD CAPS account at any time. I would suggest certainly doing it before you begin applying for any state aid. MD CAPS overall gives students a snapshot of their activities with regard to the state scholarships that they've applied for. It shows when disbursements have been made and notifications of what they might still have as outstanding documents that are needed.
What do you do next? It's time to see if you also need to apply for other financial aid opportunities you researched earlier. By the way, you did do that, right? These include grants, scholarships, and if necessary, private or personal loans. When talking about student financial aid, a lot of words get tossed around as if everyone immediately understands them all. Scholarships, loans, grants. Let's start with grants. What are they exactly?
Grants are free monetary gifts to help pay for a college education. And unlike loans, they do not have to be repaid. The most common type is the federal Pell Grant. Another is the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, which is awarded to undergraduate students with exceptional financial need, and Pell Grant recipients receive priority. Full and part-time students may qualify. Not all institutions participate in this program, so contact your college financial aid office for more information. There are also several other types of grant programs available from the Maryland Higher Education Commission, such as the Educational Assistance Grant and Guaranteed Access Grant.
The Guaranteed Access Grant is for Maryland's most needy students. It does come with an income requirement, so students and their families should visit our website to determine if they qualify. The state offers over 20 financial aid programs. The Howard P. Rawlings Educational Excellence Awards, as well as the Maryland Legislative Scholarships, are among our most popular programs.
Another way to get money for college is through scholarships. And like grants, they don't need to be repaid either. Scholarships are generally given to students with special qualifications, such as academic, artistic, or athletic talent.
Your Maryland delegates and senators have scholarship funds to award, but you must contact their office directly. If you don't know who your legislators are, you can find them online at mdelect.net.
Scholarships can take many different types of forms. You could have scholarships that are academic scholarships. It could also be based on an athletic talent, or also it could be based on a unique skill or merit.
There's a huge number of scholarships out there for you to investigate. They come from places like foundations,
hospitals,
the National Institutes of Health,
religious organizations,
technology companies,
the American Association of University Women,
the United States Congress,
insurance companies,
Department of Defense,
international groups,
the National Science Foundation,
engineering firms,
credit unions,
U.S. Department of State,
presidential programs,
seafood organizations,
the beef industry,
vegetarian groups.
And there are many more, so do your research. Where can you get a scholarship from? Let's see what this student found.
I'm Liz Winters, and I'm studying industrial organizational psychology. After I served in the military for 12 years, I returned to school and I had to figure out how to finance not only my education, but to manage my home finances as well. I had 2 children who needed to go to daycare, and I needed to find some other options. I used the post-9/11 GI Bill, and that covered my tuition and my books and gave me a little bit of money to pay my rent, but I couldn't use that money to pay for things like daycare. One of the strategies that I had in funding my way through college was to talk to people. I didn't know how to navigate this on my own, so I started networking on campus. I started finding my places on campus that I felt comfortable with and started asking the staff and the faculty that were sitting in those areas to really help me find my way through college and develop my career path.
Liz has never been afraid to ask for help. I think so often non-traditional students will be afraid to make waves, but instead Liz really asked for help. She sought out the Women's Center and became really close friend of the center and was able to share her stories. And as piecing it together, I was able to realize that a scholarship that we provide would be a really great fit for her and her family.
So the scholarship that I received was the Newcomb Scholarship. It was for returning women, which are defined as women who are older than 25 returning back to get their undergraduate degree. When I found out that the Newcomb Scholarship would allow you to use this money for whatever you needed it to be used for, I was really excited to know that this scholarship was actually perfect for me. I could use it for daycare for my children. I could use it for, gas money. I could use it for all of the extra little things that go along with funding your educations. For me, finding scholarships that addressed what I needed, I really didn't think they existed, but the more I looked, the more I realized that this scholarship really was looking to fill those gaps that I exactly needed to be filled.
We're here live at Morgan State University for our special edition of Ways to Pay for College. I'm Carrie Kavanaugh. Welcome back. We've given you a lot of information to digest so far, and we're here to help answer any questions you may have. So please email us at college@mpt.org. We'll try to answer your question on tonight's show, but if we don't get to it tonight, a college financial aid advisor will contact you afterwards to help. So whether you're baffled by the FAFSA form, grants, scholarships, or deadlines, our experts can help you break it all down. So far, we've heard a lot about where to find money to pay for college now, but what if you're a parent thinking about planning ahead for your kids? What's the best way to grow your child's college savings account over the long term? Michelle Winter from the Maryland 529 plan is here to help with that. Thanks so much for joining us, Michelle.
Oh, thanks, Carrie, for having us.
Of course. So we will start with the question, is it ever too late? If you're a high school senior, are you out of luck when it comes to opening a plan?
Absolutely not. So with the Maryland College Investment Plan, the plan can be used by adults as well. So even if you're in college and you're looking to just save for books or future tuition or even graduate school, a college investment plan is a great way for you to start saving.
Wow. Okay. What are the advantages of opening a 529 account?
So if you have Maryland taxable income, one of the biggest advantages is the fact that you are eligible for a tax deduction up to $2,500 per year per beneficiary in the college investment plan or per account in the prepaid college trust. And we offer two plans. One, the prepaid college trust allows you to lock in this year's tuition rates, and you pay that tuition off now so that when your child is ready for school, the tuition and mandatory fees are paid for. Or you can choose the college investment plan where you decide how much money you want to put away each month. That money grows over time, and you could take it out tax-free if you're using it for an eligible education expense.
Okay. So what are the advantages of the 529 over just a traditional savings account, which, probably a lot of parents, that's how they paid for college themselves.
So a traditional savings account, you could probably expect a pretty low interest rate. With a college investment plan, what the advantages are is that there's potential for more growth depending on which portfolios you choose. Think of it like your 401k, right?
Okay.
So you have an opportunity to invest the money when you want at your time, and that money has the potential to grow. And again, you can take it out tax-free, which is really great if you're using it for that eligible education expense. Whereas the prepaid college trust, you're locking in the tuition today's rates, so you're just hedging against future tuition increases.
Which plan tends to be more popular?
We get that question a lot, and I think, I don't know if it's necessarily popular. It's more of a choice from parents. So some parents like the safety net of having that tuition locked in and paying for it now, whereas others like the flexibility of the college investment plan where you can just decide how much money you want to put away.
Okay, so it just really depends on your family.
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you tell us about the state contribution program?
Sure. So the state contribution program basically allows anyone who opens up a new college investment plan the opportunity to receive up to $500 from the state. Now, there is an application period for that. It opens on January 1, and it'll run through May 31st. But you'll have to open up a new college investment plan and apply online on our website at maryland529.com.
Okay. Now, what if you are so fortunate that your child gets a scholarship or a grant and you already have this 529 account? What happens to the money that you've been saving?
So you have options. So you can transfer the money to another family member. You can use it for yourself if you're planning on going back to school. Worst case scenario, you take it out. You don't get any taxes on the principal. What you put into the account is what you get back. So you'll just be taxed on the earnings in the account.
Okay. All right. And what if you don't use the money right after high school? Is it okay to wait a year or two?
Absolutely. You can defer it. You can use it for, like I said, you can use it for graduate school if you had that scholarship. You can use it for other expenses, such as if you have another child going to private school. You can use it for K through 12 tuition with a college investment plan. So you have options with your money.
Okay. So if your child decides, I want to work for a few years, then then the plan still is there for them when they're ready to use it.
It's still there for them. And then, or if they want to go to a trade school, that's another option that you can pursue with a college investment plan.
Okay. Now, does the 529 apply to, you just said trade school, community college, to anything besides a traditional four-year institution?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So for 2-year and 4-year institutions under the college investment plan, as well as K through 12 tuition and trade schools, with the prepaid college trust, it's for community colleges and 4-year universities only.
Okay. All right, great. And can this, you said, I think a lot of people don't understand it can be used for K through 12. So can you explain how that works?
Sure. So it was actually a federal law that was passed in 2017 where you can use up to $10,000 per year of your contributions in your college investment plan towards K through 12 tuition. It's tuition only, but it's a great benefit for those who have younger children attending a private school.
Okay. All right. I bet a lot of people might not know about that who are paying tuition. And, I think a lot of the students out here, when we were talking tonight, they just wonder, is it worth saving for college? Because it just seems like such an overwhelming expense. So what do you say to people who are just discouraged? They have young kids and think, I could never afford it by the time they're 18.
So what I would recommend is that you look at your options, but the college investment plan, it's as little as $25. Every dollar that you save is one less dollar you have to borrow. And what's really great about 529 plans is that it has very little impact on your FAFSA. So if you're applying for federal financial aid, it's only considered about 5.6% of parental assets. Wow. So it's very low. So don't let that discourage you from applying for federal financial aid or any other types of grants or scholarships.
And as we wrap up here, if you open it with $25, is there any minimum that you have to deposit every year to keep it active?
No. You just want to make sure you open it up, you put the 25 in, but of course, any time that you can fund it, that's a benefit for you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. And don't forget, if you have a question about what you've seen so far or what you've heard, please email us at college@mpt.org. We will answer some questions at the end of tonight's show, and if we can't get to yours, we won't leave you hanging. A college financial aid advisor will contact you with help after the show. Now, our next story is about a student who paid for college with student loans. Are they the right option for your family? Well, we'll be right back after we hear from Mario about more ways to pay for college.
And finally, the elephant in the room, or the amusement park. Student loans. This is the biggest question on student minds today, and it's really important. How much should you borrow, and will you be able to pay it all back?
When families are considering taking out a loan for school, they need to be looking at their overall financial situation. Think of it the way you would buying a car. Most people don't walk on the lot and say, well, we'll take any car at any price, no matter how much we borrow. Folks will make a value judgment. So you want to do the same thing when it comes to college. How much can you afford from what you've saved and maybe what you can pay out of your current earnings? How much debt might you take on? And then how much will that affect the future for you or your children if you've given up that income in the future because you have to service that debt? To get a sense of how it might affect you, calculate what your monthly payment would be. A lot of people don't do that. If I take on this much debt, what does it mean in terms of how much I'll have to give up in the future? So consider those trade-offs when you're deciding how much debt to take on.
The federal government provides loans for college through the Stafford Loan Program for students enrolled at least half-time. Direct loans may be subsidized or unsubsidized. Subsidized loans are need-based, so the government pays the interest as long as you are enrolled at least half-time. Unsubsidized loans are not need-based, and you are responsible for all of the interest that accrues on the loan while you are in school. Another is the Federal Perkins Loan, a low-interest option for undergraduate and graduate students. There's also the Federal Direct Plus Loan, a low-interest student loan program for parents of undergraduate dependent students. Now, with a PLUS loan, families can fund the entire cost of a child's education minus other financial aid awarded. Parents are responsible for all the interest that accrues on this type of loan.
I am Sonia Williams. I'm a fourth semester nursing student at Anne Arundel Community College. The fact that I came into it so late in life did worry me. I'm not young. I did have 4 kids, and I probably have 20 years on some of the kids that are in the program. So, I mean, it's a little scary. It's a little intimidating. Initially, I paid for college myself. I was only taking 1 or 2 classes at the time, so tuition wasn't a big burden. But getting into the nursing program, you have a lot more fees, you're taking more classes that may cost a little more money.
Just gonna take a look at your feet. Did you find out if I'm supposed to have my digoxin?
So I've got financial aid, student loans, and then fortunately, Anne Arundel has a lot of scholarship opportunities. So all you have to do is submit a little questionnaire, and then the financial aid office kind of matches you up with which scholarship would work best for you.
Sonia Williams is not our typical student in that she really came to us with already having completed a bachelor's degree. And she completed the bachelor's degree, but then wanted to go into our 2-year nursing program. She was eligible to take out guaranteed student loans, but the combination of the loans that she's going to take out, the Maryland part-time grant that she's getting, and she's getting some institutional scholarships that are for the nursing program, then she's got a financial aid package that's meeting her financial needs.
There's no reason for you never to go back to school. I am very nervous about graduating, but my training, I think my schooling, everything I've learned through Anne Arundel's program has prepared me. So hopefully I will do well and keep my fingers crossed that I do.
Welcome back, everyone. We're live from Morgan State University, and this is our annual Ways to Pay for College show. We've covered a lot of information so far, but don't worry if you happen to tune in late. We're streaming this show live at mpt.org/college, and the entire show will go up on the website for you to refer back to immediately after we go off the air tonight. And it will remain there for you as a resource. Now, throughout the broadcast, we've gotten a lot of questions from viewers. Claudine Saxton from the Office of Student Financial Assistance for the Maryland Higher Education Commission, and Dr. Kara Turner, Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Success here at Morgan State University, are back with us now to provide more answers. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So the first question we got is from Annie, who asks, can we start filling out the FAFSA in junior year? Now, you both said to start early. Is that too early?
That's a little too early.
Okay.
It's not a bad idea to start getting familiar with it. But in terms of actually applying for it, you really do need to wait until October 1 of the senior year.
Okay, because the numbers, I assume, may change.
Circumstances could change, parents' income, et cetera, could change. Yes.
Okay, but Annie, it sounds like a smart idea, at least to get familiar with what you're going to need.
I definitely applaud her wanting to start that early.
She's going to be successful wherever she goes. Okay, now Talia asks, my daughter is in 10th grade. If she doesn't get what I'm assuming is an athletic scholarship, when does she apply for other types of financial aid?
Well, again, it's going to be that October 1 deadline for FAFSA.
Okay.
And most of the scholarships you're going to be applying for in your senior year.
In your senior year.
But not too early to start exploring
Okay.
and looking and seeing what opportunities are out there, because they tend to be the same opportunities from year to year.
Okay. And a lot of the schools do want athletes to commit pretty young, correct? So I guess she's right to be thinking of it sophomore
Sure.
year, but she can't actually look for other options until she's a senior. Okay. All right. And Brian asks, can you get Maryland aid if you go out of state? Sounds like a question for you.
Well, sure. Well, there is what's called the Unique Major Program.
Okay.
That's specifically for the legislative scholarships. If students do have what's considered a unique major, they're majoring in something that's not offered in the state of Maryland, then they could potentially be eligible to take those legislative scholarships to their out-of-state institution.
Wow. I can't imagine anything that's not offered here.
Right.
But does anything come to mind that you've heard of? I mean, I guess maybe if you wanted to do, something that would take you to Hawaii
there are some very unique majors out there.
Sea animals, maybe. Okay. All right.
It does require an application process. So
Okay.
they would definitely have to go on our website.
So they have to vet it and make sure this is legitimate, and you really
Absolutely.
can't do it in Maryland. Okay. Now, this is interesting. A lot of students I've been hearing have been applying to more and more colleges. It's easier with the Common App, and they're really hedging their bets. So how has this affected enrollment here at Morgan? Has it?
Well, you definitely see more applications, but our enrollment has been growing, so that's still a positive thing. But you do see more students. Your yield rate for most institutions has gone down because students are in fact applying for two more colleges, so it's harder to predict what percentage of them are going to come to your particular institution.
Okay.
But our enrollment has still been going up.
Okay. Now, everybody wants numbers when we're talking about college. They want to know how likely am I to get in or so forth. So do you think that there is a magic number of schools that the average senior should be applying to? Is 3 too few, 10 too much? Do either of you have an opinion on that?
I would actually defer to the student's guidance counselor on that.
Okay.
Yes, because it could vary for each student.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. All right. And is there an advantage to attending a community college first, then transferring to a four-year school like Morgan?
It can be. Certainly, if a student is concerned about cost, that is a cheaper way to do it. In fact, I think some community colleges are actually free now, and they certainly cost less than a four-year institution in any case. So it can be a good way. But many students, if they can afford to go to the four-year, they prefer to do that because the student life and then the kind of traditional college experience, they want to get that from day one.
Right. And does it change your odds of getting in if you don't get in as a high school senior, but you go to a community college and do great? Is it possible you could be admitted later?
Absolutely. We definitely have students who do that. And there are still scholarships available for transfer students as well. So it can certainly be an option.
Okay. All right. And we talked a lot about searching for unique scholarships, but do you have any more specific advice about searching for scholarships to pay for college that maybe not everybody else knows about?
There are certainly, our website is for any type of state financial aid programs that are offered. That's going to be your best resource for those specific types of awards. But then there are different search engines out there for those private and outside scholarship opportunities available. And then also speaking to folks at the financial aid office at the institutions where you're applying, getting information on institutional financial aid opportunities. Those would, definitely be resources that students should seek.
Okay. And we've heard a lot about the SAT. Should it be revamped somewhat? So how much do those standardized test scores still matter, SAT, ACT, when you all are looking at prospective students?
Well, we at Morgan State University use a holistic approach. So they factor in, but if a student does not do well on the SAT or ACT, that does not necessarily mean they cannot attend. We also have alternate admissions programs where they can come for a 6-week summer bridge program during the summer. So we have a number of options available. The only place where it really, really is critical is honor scholarships. Those, it tends to carry more weight with those.
Okay. All right, before we close out here, I just wanted to get in one more question for MHEC. What is the most common question you get from students about the best advice you have to pay for college? What's your final push for them?
Again, definitely researching as far as what our deadlines are associated with certain applications. Our FAFSA deadline of March 1st, make sure they file their FAFSA by March 1st in order to be considered for many of our state financial aid programs. And really asking questions, don't leave it such a mystery in their minds. If they have any questions, no question is a bad question.
Okay.
So those would be some of my...
All right, strict adherence to deadlines, good advice for a college student, right? Thank you both for being here. We really appreciate it. Now, before we go back to Mario and the conclusion of our program, I'd like to remind you that our entire show is going to remain on our website for you to review at mpt.org/college. And we still encourage you to email us questions at college@mpt.org so our financial aid advisors can reach out to help. Now, speaking of support, we would like to thank Morgan State University and the students who were here earlier for all of their enthusiastic support tonight. Thanks so much, everyone. Carrie Kavanaugh now for the final moments with Mario and his final checklist of the ways to pay for college.
Have all your notes ready to go? If not, just in case, here's Mario's map of the ways to pay for college.
Before you make the trip, think to yourself, what do I want to do? And what college is right for me? Meet with a high school or college financial aid advisor. Go slowly down Research Street. The more research you do, the more likely you're to find different sources of financial aid. Organize your financial records, including your income taxes. Sign up for the Maryland College Aid Processing System. Fill out the FAFSA and all online forms accurately, consistently, and completely. Apply as early as you can for federal, state, institutional, and private funds. Meet all the deadlines. Respond as quickly as possible. And keep those grades up. Some financial aid can depend on it.
We know this was a lot to absorb, so every link we mentioned and even this program can be found on our website. Are you ready for your own set of twists and turns and ups and downs? Well, maybe not that many downs, right? Are you guys excited?
Yeah!
Absolutely. I'm Mario Armstrong. Good luck, hold on, and enjoy the ride. You got this now. You got this.
Ways to Pay for College is produced in cooperation with the Maryland Higher Education Commission and was made possible in part by a grant from the United States Department of Education. Additional support for this program was provided by the Eastern Shore Higher Education Center.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.